But first, it's the one-year anniversary of Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter. How much have things changed in a year other than the name? You're watching Getting Answers. I'm Kristen Z. A year ago today, the billionaire CEO of Tesla forked out $44 billion, or at least put that funding together, and took over the San Francisco-based social media platform known for its Little Blue Bird role as the world's public town square, the go-to app for real-time information. Musk promised changes, and he delivered, perhaps not in expected ways, though. The New York Times has two prominent stories today looking at the consequences of his ownership of the company, now renamed as X. And joining us live now is the New York Times tech reporter Ryan Mack. Ryan, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
So what was Elon Musk's promise and stated mission when he took over?
Well, he made a few promises, and he had many ideas with this acquisition. I mean, this idea of preserving free speech, for example, but also, continuing the development of, one of the most important places to gather socially and chat on the internet, which is Twitter. Obviously, that hasn't gone to plan. The company has fallen by the wayside. It's had a name change, but there are less people using it these days. The valuation has been cut in half. Advertisers have fled the platform, and it's been a bit of a mess in the last year.
Yeah, and let's try to explore how we got there. And I think we can do that through the two articles that are in the New York Times, really well reported. One of them has the headline, "The Consequences of Elon Musk's Ownership of X." So I know your team looked at studies of the platform. What did they find about the content?
Well, it's been interesting because with the changes that he has implemented, there's been a lot of layoffs at the company, a lot of people that have left the trust and safety teams. And with this happening, there's been increases in misinformation, a lot of increases in hate speech, abuse content. Twitter or X has denied all this. But external studies have shown, there is an increase in things such as anti-Semitism. If you look at what's going on with the Israel-Hamas war now, there's a lot of misinformation being spread by these quote-unquote verified accounts that have just paid for the blue check mark, which has also changed under his leadership. So that has dramatically changed the platform. It's shifted it away from this kind of place where people go to gather news, and it's become quite partisan.
So, Ryan, why do we think this happened, right? You talked about some of the changes. More specifically, is it the unbanning of some conspiracy accounts? Is it the we're not going to censor so anything goes? Is it the taking away of verified blue checks from journalists like ourselves? What are some of the concrete things?
I think it's all of the above that you mentioned. I mean, if you look at, for example, the check marks, that used to be a symbol for, journalists, for celebrities to show that, those were indeed the people you could trust. Those were indeed the people that said they were who they were. And now that's, a feature that anyone that pays $8 a month can get. And that in and of itself kind of changes how you view tweets on the platform. Now, if you see, a piece of information alongside a blue check, you're not guaranteed that that is, accurate or verified or, has gone through the vetting process of, Twitter 1.0. So that, changes how people use the platform. Yes, this idea of free speech has, it's what Elon Musk will want you to believe. But, there's also been a lot of, as you said, unbanning of accounts as well. We saw that with for example, Kanye West, who was banned for anti-Semitism. He's now back on the platform. But there's, dozens of these accounts, hundreds of these accounts that have come back under, Musk's ownership, who feel emboldened by his new leadership.
You talked about the popularity dropping with users and advertisers. Do you have the numbers, like by how much?
Sure. So SimilarWeb, this third-party company, says usership has dropped by about 14%. So 40% fewer users are using the platform compared to a year ago. In terms of advertising, we reported before Musk himself admitted that advertising was down about 66% in the US. And that's a significant portion. I mean, this is a company that used to rely on advertising that made up 90% of its revenue. And for it to cut down more than half is a dramatic change.
Right. So, what is Elon Musk doing to, I guess, make up for that loss in revenue? I mean, maybe he just doesn't care. Maybe money doesn't matter and it's really just control of the speech form. But are there things he's doing to try to shore up the revenue part? I heard something about a dating app. I don't know about the everything app that he at one point proposed.
Yeah. Well, if you believe it, I mean, he said in interviews that he doesn't care about the financial impact that he has through this. But through his actions, he is still trying to build a viable company. They are still wooing advertisers. For example, if you look at their business account, for example, the X business account, they were courting advertisers today, thanking them for continuing to advertise on their platform. On the product front, he is trying to shift this platform to what you said, an everything app, a place where you can presumably pay for groceries in the future, or maybe hail a taxi cab, or a YouTube like competitor where you can watch more videos. It's a big pie in the sky type dream, but that's what he's betting on, this idea that you will do everything soon through X.
Are there concrete, I don't know, is there concrete evidence that those things are actually in the works and happening? I know he slashed the engineering staff by so much. Is anything new being built?
I mean, there's a slow trickle of features coming out of the company. I think they're testing video and audio calls this week, for example, and he talked about a dating app in a internal meeting, last night. But there's a lot of a feeling of like throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks right now. And there are already apps that people use that serve all these functions, and so there's no guarantee that even if he launches these things, people will use it. There's an equivalent of this in China called WeChat, an everything app. But here in the US, there's no guarantee that you'll stop using Uber, you'll stop using Venmo or PayPal, and instead move all your
Right.
apps to X, for example.
Especially if there's a hit to kind of the trustworthiness of the brand itself, right? Now, X.
Right.
And one thing is, I wonder if you've noticed a change in I know you don't have access to their algorithm. However, is there a sense that the boosting of certain more contentious posts that's become a thing under his ownership?
Sure. I mean, yeah, the algorithmic feed has become quite different. It is, based on what your personal, it's tailored to your personal interests. But I'm getting for example, I'm getting a lot more kind of viral video content. A lot of violent stuff actually has come across my feed. There's the promotion of accounts that were previously banned. An individual named Andrew Tate, misogynist kind of influencer, which was banned under the previous Twitter ownership, is now back, and he is verified and promoted on the For You page. So I think that gives a flavor of what we're seeing here under Musk.
All right, so I guess we want to wrap it up here, which is anyone able to fight back within the company, or is X a lost cause, if you will, for those who kind of long for the good old days when it was Twitter, or do you see anything changing?
It's hard to say. I think inside the company, the people that have stayed are those that, maybe believe more in his vision. He has fired or laid off more than 80% of the company since taking over a year ago. Those that have stayed, some, of course, maybe need the job, need the healthcare, but there's a good amount of people in that company who believe in his vision. And, they're thinking, he's a man who built Tesla, who built SpaceX to what it is. Why bet against him? So, he seems pretty determined. His CEO, Linda Yaccarino, seems pretty determined on his vision. So I don't think I would see a place where, we get back to the good old days, as you said.
A lot of questions. 1 year later. Thank you so much, Ryan Mack with the New York Times. Appreciate it.